small business is 1 to 25 employees. That's what we're talking about here. And we like to frame our discussion here in terms of our 7 keys to success. Our 7 keys are what we coach our clients on to get involved in their business. And so if you wonder what those 7 keys are, you want to take a look at them. If you look at our website at MaximumVP.com, there's a tab there that's called MVP Playbook. Underneath there, you'll see a nice graphic for 7 keys to success. And the 2 for this week's story are going to be focusing on our numbers 2 and 3, the profit plan and the marketing plan, which were keys for this story. And so, as I alluded to before the break here, the how question we're helping to answer here is, how do I convince my account managers to fire their top customers? I'm sure many of you owners have had issues with this in terms of, you have a sense, this is true for our client, he had a sense that some of their customers were not profitable based on how much time and effort was being put into different jobs. Now the problem was his data, his numbers were kind of a mess, so he couldn't really back it up. So he'd have it.
That's always a big deal. You know, they know it, they sense it, like you're saying, but you know they don't understand the numbers and the process for analyzing that. So they hold on to that abusive customer rather than look at the hard facts and say, look, you could be better off by not holding on to this customer.
Well, what was good about this client of ours is that he'd been with us for a little bit, and so he was convinced that they weren't good. The problem was when he was going up to talk to his account managers about it, they were kind of butting heads. So as much as our client, the owner, was, his gut was telling him one thing, the other guy was telling him something else. Right? His gut was different. So when you go back and forth, you have these emotional battles, so to speak. Often data and cooler heads will prevail if you have good numbers to kind of show and talk about.
So important, absolutely.
So the initial focus here, and this ties into both the marketing plan and the profit plan, from a standpoint of being able to have good numbers to kind of show and show by customer who's profitable, who's not profitable. And the marketing plan, again, deciding who a good customer is. That's a big part of the marketing plan, is understanding who is a good customer, starting with your current customers, because I guarantee you, everybody who owns a company listening to this show, I guarantee you have clients and customers that you should fire.
That's right.
Guaranteed.
That's right. You can confidently, like you are, say that because it's true.
And whether you're the one giving the litany of excuses, or it's your account manager or your salesman, whoever it's going to be as far as why you can't do it, and it's often some of your biggest customers because they are bringing in a lot of revenue. But your job as the owner isn't to increase and grow revenue per se, it's to grow profit. So it's often the case where we find we've got clients of ours that have customers that they're losing money on. They've been losing money on them for years.
It's too hard to figure that out, though, Alan.
Right. Well, we have a separate one that we're working through that right now, where he knows that he's been losing money on these guys, but they're working on a plan where they're going to increase the price a little bit, and they're going to work on a nice referral program from them. So they're going to use that as a loss leader to a certain extent, assuming they can get profitable business out of them from some of their customers.
No, well,
so we're going to see how that one goes, right?
That's right. We have fun coaching them along that internal policy change. So yeah, it's a hard change to make.
All right, so let me come back to our client here. We're talking about this. He's trying to convince his account manager to make this change. So it took him about a year to get his numbers cleaned up to the point where he could show in black and white the amount of money that was being lost with some of these customers, and to convince them to be able to either fire these customers, or one of the best ways we know to fire a customer is to raise prices. And you raise prices to the point where you know you're going to make money on it, or they're going to leave.
Yeah, they're going to pay for the aggravation. That's the right way to look at it.
It's called the pain in the butt premium, we like to call that. If they're paying your butt, they're going to be paying somebody else's butt too, so they got to pay you that premium for that, right? I mean, it goes back to what Jack's talking about before. When he's happy to pay a premium for his services, Jack's probably one of those pain in the butt customers that people are used to deal with. He didn't know that, but now he's starting to figure that out. That's okay. He likes paying that premium. And so do those folks. So what happened was he was able to show in black and white. Calmer voices started to prevail because he was able to present data to his account manager. He said, okay, so with trepidation, he went out and he went across the board for all these customers and started to raise their prices. Some he raised by as much as 50 to 100% to increase them. And guess what happened?
What happened?
More than half the customers stayed on board. And they even came back to him and said, hey, we kind of knew we were getting a good deal. And even at the price that you're quoting us now, that's the revised price, it's still a pretty good deal. Plus, we know you. We've been a customer of yours for years. We know how you handle stuff. You guys handle stuff very, very well. So we're gonna accept that price increase and be okay with it.
If you're doing other stuff for that customer, those kind of things can be done. If you aren't, and if you're on a commodity basis and price, like we had said before, is about the only thing you talk about, then hey, you get a bunch of customers like that, and you're going to be out of business.
So I wanted to share this story today because I think it touches on a lot of things that we've kind of talked about today, and especially when it comes to the idea of trying to compete on price. That people feel that pressure to compete on price and not being able to raise the price, and to be able to look and analyze and do it with a cooler head. Your gut's good, and your gut's usually pretty educated as the owner because you're aware of a lot of things that are going on. But to be able to prove that out in black and white and get your team convinced that this is the right thing to be able to do. So in their case, what happened was that they really didn't lose revenue at all, because even though they lost some customers, the increase in the revenue from the customers that they did maintain, maintained their revenue. And what happened was they went from a loss on that group of customers to be able to make a profit on that customers.
Amazing.
Which is the whole, again, that's the whole key. So, but for a year, the battle back and forth, one gut fighting another gut, and that battle usually doesn't go very well. To look in black and white and see and prove out here's what's going on, and be able to understand your numbers. So understanding your numbers is a key part for you as the owner to be able to have these kind of discussions.
And drive that thought. An account manager generally is going to be geared towards sales and satisfaction of the company or the customer, and not create a lot of negativity, where sometimes negativity has to be created and or certainly challenged. And only the owner is going to do that, or let's say the owner does that best. Account managers generally don't do that best. So it's extremely important, and somebody's got to do it. Well, look around the room and, hey, wait, there's the owner. He's the one who's got to do it, or she's the one who's got to do it.
So if they're a good customer for you, and you're providing good service to them, to Jack's point, also you're providing not just a basic product or service, but you're adding other things to that. They know that. It's often very difficult for people to leave their current provider. We see this all the time with clients, especially when it comes to like CPAs who aren't doing a good job for their clients, and you've got to really screw some stuff up for people to move and change, especially when they've been with you for years. It's hard for them to stop using you and use somebody else. It really
I agree. Yeah, that is a very emotional charged meeting when you have to let go of a long-time customer. It's just like a long-time employee. I mean, what's the difference? Or a long-time vendor, same thing.
Right.
That relationship is making it generally what it is, unless he's a bozo, or she's a bozo.
So you have to keep that in mind when you're coming to make these tough decisions, because they can be very, very tough and very emotional. And again, nobody wants to necessarily shrink the company on purpose. But again, when we talk about shrinking revenue, it's okay as long as we're increasing profit and we're having the right kind of customers. I can't emphasize that enough. Having the right kind of customers for you. And if you've been in business for a couple of years or a couple of decades, you should be able to profile and talk about what makes a good customer for you. And it can't just be revenue. Can't be. If it is, you probably have a lot of the wrong customers.
That's right. It's got to be the relationship and helping and having fun. I mean, as corny as that may sound, those things kind of enhance the profitability. It's not all about money. It's about relationship and goodwill. And those are the kind of customers you want, because it's easy to go into the office every day.
That's right. So